Sometimes I wonder how many people are secretly disappointed in themselves, but never admit it. Not publicly, not even to their friends. Because from the outside, their life looks completely normal. They laugh, they attend classes, they post pictures, they go out sometimes, they talk about goals, they say things like, well, yeah, bro, I'm working on myself. But internally, they know they are slowly collapsing. And honestly, I think I was one of those people for a very long time. Not completely broken. That would have actually been easier. I was just comfortable enough to avoid changing. And comfort is dangerous when it comes too early in life. Because when your life becomes built around comfort, you stop chasing growth. You start chasing distraction. I remember there was a time when my days had absolutely no structure. I would sleep late for no reason, wake up tired, open my phone instantly, scroll until my brain felt numb. Instagram, Reels, YouTube Shorts, random videos, random opinions, random people, hours disappearing every single day. And somehow I still convinced myself I was busy. That's the scary part about modern distraction. It makes you feel mentally occupied while spiritually empty. You feel exhausted without actually building anything. And slowly, I started noticing changes in myself. My attention span became terrible. I couldn't focus deeply anymore. Even watching a full movie without checking my phone felt difficult. Studying felt harder. Thinking felt harder. Being alone with my own thoughts felt uncomfortable. And I think many people underestimate what constant stimulation does to the brain. Your mind was not designed to consume thousands of pieces of information every day. We are constantly feeding our brains noise, and eventually the noise becomes your personality. You lose clarity, you lose depth, you lose patience, and worst of all, you lose connection with yourself. I remember sitting alone one night, staring at the ceiling in complete darkness, phone beside me, room silent. And I had this strange thought. If somebody gave me complete freedom right now, would I even know what to do with my life? That question genuinely disturbed me because I realized I had spent so much time consuming other people's lives that I had stopped building my own. I knew everything about influencers, athletes, celebrities, creators, but I barely knew myself anymore. I barely knew what kind of man I wanted to become, and that realization hurts, especially as a young man, because deep inside every man wants purpose. Every man wants to feel useful, respected, capable, but modern life constantly pushes us toward comfort instead. Cheap entertainment, cheap pleasure, cheap dopamine. And slowly your ambition becomes weaker, not instantly, quietly. That's how potential dies, not through one massive failure, but through repeated, small betrayals. You tell yourself you'll wake up early tomorrow. You don't. You tell yourself you'll start exercising next week. You don't. You tell yourself you'll stop wasting time. You don't. And after enough broken promises, you stop trusting yourself. That might be one of the worst feelings a person can experience. When your own mind no longer believes your words. Because confidence isn't built through motivational speeches. Confidence is built when you repeatedly prove to yourself, I can rely on me. And I had completely lost that. I looked fine externally, but internally, I felt directionless. And what scared me most was imagining the future. I started thinking, what if I never changed? What if this lazy version of me became permanent? What if I reached 30, still undisciplined, still distracted, still unhealthy, still full of excuses? That thought genuinely terrified me because time moves incredibly fast when your days have no meaning. Weeks disappear, months disappear, years disappear, and one day people wake up realizing they became average accidentally. Not because they lacked intelligence, not because they lacked potential, but because they lacked discipline. And nobody talks honestly about how painful wasted potential feels. especially when you know you could have done more. That feeling slowly eats at your self-respect. You begin avoiding mirrors, not because of appearance alone, because your reflection reminds you of your inaction. You avoid difficult conversations, you avoid goals, you avoid challenge, and eventually you build an identity around comfort. I think that's where many young men are trapped today, not physically trapped, mentally trapped, addicted to ease, and society encourages it constantly. Everything is designed to keep you passive. Infinite scrolling, infinite entertainment, infinite stimulation. Nobody profits from disciplined people. Disciplined people are harder to control, and I know that sounds dramatic, but look around, honestly. How many people around you truly have control over their attention? Very few. Most people cannot even sit in silence for 10 minutes anymore. The moment boredom appears, they reach for stimulation. But boredom is important. Silence is important. Because clarity only appears when noise disappears. That realization slowly changed my behavior. I stopped trying to transform overnight. That never works. Real change is quieter than social media makes it look. It begins with awareness, then tiny decisions. I started cleaning my room properly. Not because cleaning is magical, because disorder around you slowly creates disorder inside you too. Then I started waking up earlier. Again, not at some extreme productivity hour, just earlier than the version of me that kept wasting mornings. And mornings changed everything. There's something powerful about being awake before the chaos starts. The world feels calmer, your thoughts feel clearer, you feel more in control. Then came the gym. Honestly, the gym changed me mentally more than physically, because every workout became proof that I could suffer voluntarily. And voluntary suffering builds strength. Modern comfort makes people fragile. The gym teaches resilience. You learn discipline, consistency, patience. You learn that progress is slow, and that lesson applies to life itself. Nobody becomes strong in one workout. Nobody becomes successful in 1 week. Nobody becomes disciplined overnight. Everything meaningful takes repetition, and that idea completely changed my mindset. I stopped obsessing over instant results. I started focusing on identity instead. Instead of asking, how do I become successful? I started asking, what would a disciplined man do today? And slowly, very slowly, my life started changing. Not dramatically, quietly. I became calmer, more focused, less reactive. I started valuing solitude more. I started respecting my time more. I became more selective about what I consumed mentally, because eventually you realize your mind becomes whatever you repeatedly feed it. If you constantly feed yourself negativity, comparison, mindless entertainment, chaos, your internal world becomes chaotic too. But when you start feeding your mind discipline, knowledge, fitness, purpose, silence, you begin rebuilding yourself. And honestly, I still have a long way to go. I'm not sitting here pretending I became perfect. Far from it. There are still days where I struggle with consistency. Still days where motivation disappears. Still days where my mind wants comfort instead of effort. But the difference now is, I no longer romanticize weakness. I no longer celebrate laziness. I no longer want a life built around escape. I want a life built around growth. And maybe that's the reason I wanted to start this channel. Not to act superior, not to pretend I know everything, but to document the process honestly. Because I know there are people watching this who feel the exact same way. People who are tired of wasting time, tired of feeling mentally weak, tired of constantly restarting, tired of watching life pass by. And if that's you, understand something important. You do not need to become a different person overnight. You just need to stop abandoning yourself daily. That's where change begins. One disciplined decision at a time, one controlled morning, one workout, one focused hour, one promise kept to yourself. That's how self-respect returns, slowly, quietly, And one day you wake up realizing you are no longer becoming the person you hate. You are finally becoming someone you're proud of. And honestly, that feeling is worth every difficult step